My passion for dinosaurs started really early in life. Ever since I was 3 years old, that my fascination for these majestic creatures never stopped. I got it all. Toys, books, movies, documentaries, games, everything. My childhood was completely filled with that sort of stuff. Kids my age would watch Teletubbies. I was watching Disney's dinosaurs every single day. Kids would be playing Super Mario on their Game Boy, and I was playing Disney's dinosaurs for the Game Boy. Kids would be playing Spyro the Dragon for the PS2, and I was playing Disney's dinosaur for the PS2. Listen, I really like the movie, okay? These giant extinct animals were always present in my life, and over time my admiration for them only grew. Every time a dinosaur movie released, I was watching it. Every time a dino game appeared, I would want it. Every time a dino documentary would pop up, you bet your ass that I would be there watching it. The way they look, the way they sound, move and interact with each other hooked me like a moth to a lamp. And ironically, it ended up being my job to an extent, since now I'm a content creator dedicated to dinosaur games. Needless to say that these fat lizards were, have been, and probably always will be a huge part of my life. But there was always an aspect in specific that I really never truly understood and was always a bit confusing to me. You see, I am a big fan of them, love dinosaurs, but I was never a so commonly named Paleo enthusiast or Paleo nerd. I watched numerous documentaries about them explaining endless aspects of their anatomy, biology, habitat behavior, and etc. But even though I would absorb that information and learn a lot from it, that was never the true purpose of me watching them. I was there first and foremost for the visuals. Now, I don't mean visuals in the sense of just wanting to watch the fights or anything. I mean the visuals of dinosaurs simply being dinosaurs. Acting, behaving like ordinary animals. The spectacle of observing these almost mystical beings just being themselves, doing animal stuff. It is pretty basic, but to me it was the most appealing part of these shows. I never really cared about the science behind it. It was neat to know, of course, but it was never my focus, if that makes sense. That is one aspect that I really like about the new Prehistoric Planet series. They provide us with new, accurate, detailed and unique information that most of us never heard of, which is something I know a lot of people really appreciate, but the visuals are what truly sells it to me. Not because of, oh my god, graphics, but because they display dinosaurs as simple animals. Sometimes eating, sometimes playing, fighting, mating, traveling, or sometimes doing nothing. That simplicity of nature is something that I really miss in dino documentaries specifically. But over the years, I have noticing a worrying trend that I feel today in 2023 is getting a bit out of hand. Many people on other channels constantly debate this topic, and while I believe debate is important for the benefit of everyone, it is now reaching a, in my opinion, unhealthy degree. And that topic is accuracy. Dinosaur accuracy in media is most likely the biggest and most common subject mentioned within the paleo community. This always existed to an extent, but on the internet specifically it really kicked off with the feathered dinos debate almost 2 decades ago, and since then that the conversation got more and more heated over time. Paleontology evolved immensely since the early 2000s, and currently we are able to analyze and determine the anatomy of these extinct creatures more accurately and in more detail than ever before. And as a result, that usually means that previous documentaries or informative pieces of media regarding prehistoric animals become more and more flawed and outdated throughout the years, even if they were good at the time they were made. And that's okay. That is simply the process of progress. They are still great shows to watch, well, some of them at least. We can still appreciate them for what they are, while also acknowledging that they are no longer valid in some aspects. I think it is also beneficial for the community to be skeptical, for lack of a better word, of the work that is presented to us nowadays. Media should always be criticized if they have components to improve upon or if they are showcasing wrong information. We had plenty of those back in the day anyway. It is healthy to stay alert and fact-check what is displayed in order to filter out bad products. What stops being healthy, in my opinion, is when this behavior spreads to media that it's not meant to be informative. And the best example of this is the most popular dinosaur franchise of all time, Jurassic Park. I don't think that there's a group of people that hate this series everywhere. On Twitter, Reddit, Discord, YouTube, forums. Just a quick search and you will see the countless videos explaining the inaccuracies present on every single entry of the IP's movies, shows and games. But the thing is, well, for one, Jurassic Park came out in 1993. The movie is literally 30 years old. It came out 6 full years before the first episode of Walking with Dinosaurs. That's how old the franchise is. No shit it's going to have an outdated view of how dinosaurs looked like. But still, even as recent as last year, people still criticize it for it. And that is a problem. Obviously, I'm not saying that pointing out the movie's flaws is problematic. We can always learn something from analyzing old media and understand the differences of what we previously knew and what we do know now. But the problem with Paleo media in general and JP in specific is that the details being discussed have been always the same for way too long. It's always some dinosaurs were feathered, the dinos' wrists are in the wrong angle, dinos were fatter than the ones in the movies, dinos had lips, the sizes are inaccurate, they didn't sound like that in real life, and so on. But here's the thing, we already knew that. We know that for years and years. These are criticisms that we hear since the 2010s. That's not new for us. Everyone that enjoys the movies already know that real dinosaurs didn't look or sound like that. Oh, so you are saying that Velociraptor is not actually what's in the movie? Oh goodness gracious, I only knew that for like 20 years since I saw Dinosaur Planet in 2003. It's the same criticisms being mentioned over and over again. Not only does that not fix anything and it gets to a point that becomes obnoxious, but the truth is that in regards to Jurassic Park as a franchise, that information is irrelevant. It is true that the movie was made with the intent to make the creatures look and behave as realistic and lively as possible, and they succeeded in doing that. But something that I believe many people forget is that JP is not a documentary. It is a sci-fi thriller. They took accuracy into account, of course, but their main objective was to make the dinosaurs terrifying. Do they need to be inaccurate to be scary? Obviously not, but as a science fiction story, they have the freedom to alter any design they desire, and for the time they managed to add their own flavor while also making the dinos look and act realistic than ever before. That is why people remember fondly of Rexy and not WWD's T-Rex, even though they are half a decade apart. But it seems that the Paleo community thinks otherwise. For every new movie that would come out, more and more criticism of this nature would appear, despite ignoring the fact that this is not a paleontology report. Even the movies themselves had to say it in our faces at some point.
You are acting like we are engaged in some kind of mad science. But we are doing what we have done from the beginning. Nothing in Jurassic World is natural. We have always filled gaps in the genome with the DNA of other animals. And if their genetic code was pure, many of them would look quite different. But you didn't ask for reality. You asked for more teeth.
In fact, this has been getting worse and worse. On my channel, I cover and discuss several dinosaur games. And a few weeks ago I released a video discussing the dinosaur designs of a game called The Isle, and while my community received it quite well, the comment section was a bit less fortunate. For those who don't know, The Isle is a dinosaur survival game where you play as a dinosaur and try to survive in an open world filled with other players, a very niche genre that has been getting traction in recent years, with multiple titles being worked on and some already released. The Isle in specific was the very first entry to get the mainstream appeal, and for a very long time was the most popular game in the genre. However, when it comes to designs, This one in particular was one of the most criticized of the bunch, with many saying that half the roster is inaccurate and the other half is a simple Jurassic Park ripoff. In the video that I mentioned previously, I showcased the lore-based reasons as to why they do look like this and why this is not a bad design. You can check it out if you are interested. And even though most seem to agree, there were some that had some not so agreeable opinions. Lore is just an excuse for bad design, the designs are bad because they are inaccurate and there's no justification for it. I even saw someone saying that all Paleo media has the responsibility to make their dinosaurs accurate. And this is not a minority, mind you. I see comments like this everywhere. This is a sizable portion of the community and this is a growing problem. Fiction, regardless if it's movie or games, provide us with a vision. A unique and distinct vision from the people that created it. They construct universes for us to dive into, but those worlds are not real. They don't represent reality and shouldn't be interpreted as such unless that is exactly what the creators want to provide. Jurassic Park, 65, Dinotopia, Ark, The Isle, Dino Crisis, and many others, all of them are sharing a fantastical version of reality that we cannot find in the real world, and we should appreciate it for what they are, not judge them. In these cases, for the most part, inaccuracy is not a flaw, it's a creative decision. I completely understand that many people want to see their favorite animal depicted according to modern science, but expecting and even demanding that all products should align to your own vision is unhealthy to the community and the industry. Creativity should always be respected even if it's not your taste. Besides, we already have accurate pieces of media. We have games like Saurian and Path of Titans that use anatomically correct dinosaurs as a selling point. We have high quality documentaries being released recently. Movies we haven't been so lucky that is true, but still, we have options. If you want more accuracy, consume the products that provide that instead of unfairly criticizing the ones that don't, and arguing that accuracy should always be at the forefront when designing a dinosaur and critique everything that isn't, is purely gatekeeping behavior. It demotivates developers and producers from creating games and movies, and I'm sure no dinosaur enthusiast would enjoy that. A huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for supporting the channel and the content I create. If you want to join the ranks, you can do so for only $1 a month, the link will be in the description. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions down below, join our Discord server for memes and Paleo nerd stuff, and I hope to see you all next week.